When I was 5, I found Pokemon Red version and Blue version sitting on the kitchen island along with the Game Boy. 17 years later, I'm still playing every Pokemon game I can manage to get my grubby little hands on. Come with me, and let's start to see how the series has evolved over the years. To do that, we need to start with the basics. I'm Vivix Tales, this is Backlog worthy. Let's talk about Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green versions. Starting off, let's dive right into those graphics. Sure, these games came out back in the year of 1998. Everything might look dated, but let's try to look past that. I have played these games on the original Game Boy Advance SP, and the 3DS Virtual Console. While the sprites don't really change between the consoles, the color palette does. The games on both the Game Boy and the 3DS Virtual Console use your classic black and white colors. Pop these bad boys in that Game Boy Advance SP right next to you, and you'll be seeing colors for days. Even though this doesn't really affect the gameplay in the slightest, I still found it pretty cool. While I'm on the topic about graphics, let's actually talk about those sprites. Specifically, the sprites of the Pokemon. I do honestly think that Game Freak nailed some of these sprites in Gen 1. Raichu, Nidoking, Starmie, and Vaporeon are just some of the first Pokemon that come to mind that they did justice to. On the other hand, there are some hideous sprites in this game as well. Mr. Mime and Execute come to mind, and hell, don't even get me started on Golbat. I wish I knew what Game Freak was smoking when coming up with some of these designs. Moving on to the gameplay, let's address the difficulty of these games. I played through Pokemon Red how I would play through any other mainline Pokemon game. The only thing I really changed up was the Pokemon I actually used on my team. On my 32-hour journey throughout the Kanto region, my team consisted of a Venusaur, Pidgeot, Raichu, Nidoking, Flareon, and Kabutops. Even with me jumping into this game knowing my team composition, this game really did its best to put me in my place. Early game was not bad at all. Bulbasaur took care of Brock with no problems, and destroyed Misty with the help of Pikachu. It wasn't until Erica that I started to struggle. I'll be completely honest. EXP share has spoiled me for the last few generations of Pokemon. Without that one item, it sure made leveling grindy as hell. That's the bad thing too. I spent more than just a few hours trying to level up my team, and it sucked. After my Nidoking got buffed, he was really the only Pokemon I used from Erica onwards. The only other place I struggled with was the battle for the title of champion against Blue. This was the exact moment where I started to hate a game. I had played for too many hours for how hard it was. Besides the fact that Blue's Alakazam kept shoving my team into their graves, my entire team was at least 10 to 15 levels under his. If it weren't for the unhealthy amounts of revives and super potions that I had, you probably would have found me haunting Pokemon Tower alongside Marowak. As long as I'm complaining, let's talk about HMs. I'm not fully against the idea of HMs, and I can see why they're in the games to begin with. I just really hated the locations of these damn things. Let me put it this way. I found HM01, cut, all by myself. I also had to resort to using GameFAQs to find the remaining 4 HMs. How was I supposed to know the exact latitude and longitude of a single house in the Safari Zone just to find one HM? The last thing I want to complain about is the damn backpack system. Now, I couldn't really tell you how many spaces were in your backpack, mainly because I didn't pay that much attention, but let's just say there's 10 slots, because that's what it felt like. With there being 5 HMs, a slot for both Pokeballs and Potions, then a slot for the bike and fishing rod, that leaves only one slot for any item you happen to pick up on your adventure. If it means anything, I wasn't aware that I could store items in the PC until pretty much late game. So, if you find any items laying around in Kanto where they shouldn't be, that might be my fault. Can we backtrack to the gameplay real quick? I know I've been complaining about a 24-year-old game for a hot minute, but I promise I have some positive things to say. I honestly kinda like the backtracking, or the idea of it. Hear me out. There are 2 most notable ones to me, the first being traveling from Cinnabar Island back to Pallet Town. It was a bittersweet feeling seeing that my journey was coming to a close. The other was Celadon City to the Pokemon League. Having a sense of being in a familiar area finally able to enter your final challenge was a nice feeling. This might just be nostalgia talking, but I really do believe that the music is pretty good. Now, hold on, I get it. I'm a 21-year-old talking highly about a game that is a few years older than I am. Hear me out though. There's something about the music in Pokemon games that just really adds to the atmosphere of your adventure. Every new area, whether it's a town, city, or route, has its own music. This may not really matter, but let me reiterate another point. Remember about a minute ago when I was talking about backtracking and that feeling? The music plays a big part in this. Specifically, Cinnabar Island in the ocean to Pallet Town. Sure, seeing a familiar setting at the end of your journey can be bittersweet. But that music, it adds another layer. The nice soothing music of Viridian City can be a gentle reminder of where you started, before the more intense music of Victory Road in the Pokemon League. In all honesty, replaying this game sort of broke the immersion that 5-year-old me had. But hey, I'm just here to review games now. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green gets a 6 out of 10 for me. It's a decent game for being a product of its time. When it comes to whether or not you should add it to your backlog, I'm gonna have to side with yeah.